Hello and welcome to True Guidance Tarot. I'm Adriana Teodoro-Dier. I'm a practicing spiritual medium and intuitive reader, your guide to a clearer perspective. I have a message for Sagittarius. This is a channeled message from my guides and from Spirit to help you move forward on your path in the most positive and abundant way possible. There we go. Let's get started with your reading. So Sagittarius, some interesting things. We're kind of looking forward and backwards at the same time. We have the moon for the energy sent to you by the universe this week. And let me show you the next card because I'll kind of talk about them together. You're responding with this Ace of Wands energy. And what's interesting to me is this split in the rocks and the split in the rocks. It's almost like these dogs or wolves are calling down or calling something into their reality. They're asking for something to come down and kind of for the heavens to split open and for just something to happen. And I feel like they're calling to it. And so they're not sure exactly what they're calling, right? But we've got this Ace of Wands here talking about this burst of vital energy, which you may see as a spark in creativity. But it's almost like you're asking this to happen quicker than it's actually happening. So these animals are calling down this awakening for you. That animal instinct is knowing that there's an awakening or that there is a rebirth or just a spark of something new going to start happening. But you're almost pushing it a little too fast. You're so eager for it that you're trying to grab onto it a little bit too quickly. And this is saying that, yeah, I'm kind of struggling with a little bit because the energy is conflicted. There's this desire for forward, this desire for clarity and fire and light. But this moon card is the opposite. It's shadow and mist and water and flow and things being not so clear, things being kind of shaded. So in the deepest part of yourself, the instinctual, intuitive knowing knows that something's happening. It's almost like these rocks are going to part and something is going to come up that's new and different and big and kind of earth-shattering. But they don't really know what it is yet. They can't see it yet. They're just sensing it. And that's why they're baying at the moon. They're also reminding me about this little crab down here, scuttling on the water and on the land. So he's neither a land nor a water animal. We associate crabs with the ocean, but especially this type of crab actually spends a lot of time on the land. So, you know, we're not quite there. We're still in that in-between spot. And I know that there's this desire for this clarity and just this powerful, let's move forward, but we're not quite there. So let's see if we can illuminate this a little bit. I think I'm going to show you these two cards first because these two cards are a blend. We've got the Six of Cups going to the Nine of Wands. There is an identity from your childhood that you are holding on to incredibly strong. And I think the identity and the action are one and the same. And what I mean by that is there's part of you that identifies as the fighter, that you're always opposing everyone else. So I really kind of love this card. It's a warrior. He's wounded, right? He probably should be inside, like recovering and healing from his wounds, but he's not going anywhere. He will not give up his position. His city, everything around him is burning. It's all gone, but he will not move. Doesn't matter how many things are thrown at him. In fact, if they go through him, he's probably not going to move either. He just refuses to give up this position. So that part of you that always felt antagonized or felt like you were on the contrary, always against, always having to push, always having to fight, that identity is also something that you're holding on to very strongly. The identity of a fighter, the identity of the opposition, the identity of I always go against the grain and I'm always swimming uphill. The thing is with holding on to that identity, it's also holding on to the idea of difficulty, of struggle, of lack, of having to Work harder than you need to get the things that you want, rather than just allowing them to flow. Look at all this water, flow to you. When you fight, I mean, there's a time and a place for fighting, right? You have to stand up for yourself. You have to fight for what's right for you. But this over-identification, the strength of your over-identification with that archetype is actually not helping you this time. Because when you see the world as against you, you're attracting the world being more against you. So this thing can't open up for you yet, because there's less flow in the vibration. There's less, because flow means you go with where the universe takes you, right? Flow means that you're able to follow where you're shown, and you go where you're shown. You don't question it, you just flow. But this idea that you always have to fight, that life is a struggle, makes life a struggle, and then the flow is elusive, right? You're not allowed to flow because of this idea. I see it all the time in my teaching, because I teach piano, and the students are so funny, because they'll say to me, like right before they play, well, this didn't go well at home, and then they'll play. Or they'll say something like, well, I'll try to play it, but it probably won't work. That's the big one, right? I'll try to play it, but I'll probably mess up in front of you. So they're already setting themselves up, even though they did it 100 times at home correctly, and they have no idea how it's going to go. They've already told themselves how this is going to go. So when you tell yourself that you have to fight, and that life is a struggle, and everything is difficult, and everyone is against you, you set yourself up for a struggle. I'm not saying that if you change your mindset, it's going to be rosy and everything's going to be fine and dandelions and butterflies and daisies everywhere, and that everyone's going to get along with you. But it's that you're not inviting it. When the conflict comes, you're not going to react with it the same way. You're just going to see it as something outside of you, not something that defines you. If you define yourself by conflict, you have to have conflict so that you know who you are. And if you don't need conflict to know who you are, you literally don't need conflict, right? So I didn't show you this last card, because this is the Seven of Pentacles saying to you, it's time to cut this part of you off. You don't need it. You don't need this identification. So these two cards are exemplified by this tiny little bit of mistletoe he's cutting off. You don't need that anymore. It's not helping you. It's time to cut it off and to let this go. And I asked for an advice, and it's pretty clear. We have the Tower. You have to let go of that old belief system, that old identity as a fighter, as someone who always swims upstream, who can't get what he or she wants easily. You've got to let that go. And look where they're heading. These two people falling out of the tower, they're heading towards the water. Where did we start? Again, the Water of the Moon card. You're heading towards the water. You're heading towards the flow of just letting everything happen the way it needs to be happening. So questions about that, please let me know. I always love to hear from you. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel so we can keep this positive energy flowing. If you are looking for some more personal guidance, some more one-on-one help, I invite you to check out my website, trueguidancetarot.com. There's a lot of different stuff on there. You might find it interesting. Either way, I'll look forward to seeing you next week, and have a good one.